We're honored to have the county manager, Mr. George Wood, in the studio with us, and it's always good to see you.
Good to see you, Wayne.
Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
Let's talk a little bit about a couple of things that happened during the last board meeting, the Board of Commissioners meeting. Number one, something that may affect some of the citizens of Wayne County, that would be a discussion of a series of fees. What was that all about?
Well, what it was, when we first went through the hurricane, we waived all the fees at the landfill for any storm-related debris coming in there. In addition to that, we waived any fees for building permits, and that includes general construction, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, everything associated with that, if the damage was storm-related. So we did all of that for 45 days. Now, I checked with Tim Rogers. He says pretty much the debris has been brought in, so we don't need to continue. That has lapsed, and we don't need to continue that. But in talking to our chief building inspector, Steve Stroud, Steve recommended we go another 90 days on the building permits because a lot of people haven't started yet on some of their renovations and things for that. So that's basically what we did, is we extended the deadline for all of the building permits, and again, that's general construction, plumbing, electrical, mechanical, anything they need in that regard. And also, we did it for the environmental health department's permits if it's a well or a septic tank involved there, because they do the permitting on those. And so we have extended all of that through March 31st. So again, there'll be no fees associated. You still have to get the permits. You still need to go in and get the permit. Right. But the fee part of it will be waived if they can prove that it's storm related.
And if they cannot, and you're reading my mind here, but taking it a step further, if it's not storm related, then they still have to pay the fee.
Yeah, it's business as usual for that. You know, for instance, if somebody in the northern end of the county, which was not affected by the storm, is just building a new house, that's not storm related. They would pay the normal fee.
Pay the normal fee anyway. That's just what's fair.
Just part of the business, because the fees cover the cost of our employees to go and do the work. Right. So, but again, we're waiving it for those who were victims of the hurricane.
It wouldn't be fair to charge the victims of the hurricane for something they had no control over.
Absolutely, and it's just, you know, it's a small way that we as a community can help them recover from that, because they've taken tremendous losses on that.
Okay, and that's good until March 1?
March 31st.
March 31st, to the end of March, 90 days.
Right, and if they have any questions, just call the Wayne County Inspections Department, and they can go over everything with them.
All right. Another topic, the item that took place during the Board of Commissioners meeting was a software package that was being discussed, and it was tabled for further discussion. How did we get to that point? What's this all about? What is this software?
Well, what we're doing, you know, about a year and a half ago, we put in new software at the Department of Social Services. Right. And the reason I'm bringing that up is there are a lot of similarities. The Department of Social Services has a lot of different programs, and each one of those people would have to fill out an application for that, and our staff would make a determination if they qualified for those benefits. Well, we were still on a paper system up until a year and a half ago, and that meant if a client came in, they might have to fill out all of that initial information, you know, name, address, social security number, all of that stuff. They may have to do that 4 times for 4 different programs. Very inefficient. All the files were in separate silos, separate areas of the department. And what we did is we put in a software package from Northwoods, which is a fully integrated software package. You came in as a client, we get the first person that talks to you gets all that information. We set up the record right there. Then if you're referred to another intake person, as you go in that room, they can call up all that same information electronically. Now you may say, well, why can't one person do all the intake? The reason is we have about 40 different programs, and it takes well-trained staff to know the ins and outs of all those programs. One person couldn't possibly do all of that.
Right.
But the programming helps tremendously with that. So using that as an example, what we have right now with the software we have for dispatching a call. So when somebody calls 911, our dispatchers would dispatch the police department, the sheriff's department for that call, or the Goldsboro PD. So let's use the sheriff's department. They respond to the call, okay? They prepare an incident report on that. So again, they're getting the information you know, all of that is entered. They can do that through their MDT, which is the mobile computer in the patrol car.
In the vehicle, right.
In the vehicle.
Do that right
So,
there.
Right there. So all that's electronic.
Nice.
Okay. We're building, so now we have the incident report. All right. Well, let's say it escalates to the point where we now have to put somebody under arrest. All right. Typically, they would fill out an arrest form.
Another form.
Another form. Yeah. Well, here again, we use another form, but again, it's electronic. So the officer fills that out. Well, first of all, that form will be populated with all of the information that he's already gotten from the incident report that's required there. So that cuts down on the time.
Right.
It also makes sure we get all the factual information correct, because it's downloading a lot of that stuff automatically.
Okay.
Then he fills in the rest, why he's put him under arrest, et cetera, et cetera. You know, writes up about who some of the witnesses are and all that, and they'll follow up later with the witnesses' sworn statements and all of that, and that will also be scanned in. So you're building one uniform record there. And so then, from there, we have to book him into the jail. And he's either going to spend time in jail or he's going to be bonded out. So the next process is that the deputy then has to transport him to jail, and he goes through booking at the jail. Well, again, if you've got integrated software, you're populating all of this stuff. They call it up. They've got the data in that database.
It's already there.
It's already there.
Ah, okay.
In the past, all three of those steps would have been individually having to redo every bit of that and do it manually.
Man.
So you can see the sheriff has projected that he thinks he can cut his administrative time on that, all of that, in half. And so there'll be some savings there. But the primary thing, the primary benefit is that when our officers go somewhere, for instance, let's say you're a deputy sheriff.
Okay.
All right, you get a call to respond to this house, and they tell you what the complaint is. But you really don't know what you're walking into. Now,
that could be a very dangerous situation.
It could be very dangerous, because, for instance, that person may be, we may actually have an outstanding warrant on that. That may be a fugitive there that we don't know about. Well, it's very helpful if we're able to identify, pull up from that address who's there, and if we've got an outstanding arrest warrant on somebody at that location. That officer's forewarned before he knocks on the door.
What he
what
might
he's
run
walking
into. Yeah.
Plus, it may not be that, but it may be, let's say he's handling a domestic case, okay?
And those are very dangerous.
Those are very dangerous because, the wife is complaining on the husband, then you get in there, and a lot of times they both turn on the officer, because all of a sudden, she takes his side. So they're very dangerous situations. It would be helpful to know, is this the first time we've ever had a domestic call at this location, or does this happen frequently?
So they don't have that information up until this point.
Up until this point, unless you could have some of it, but this makes it assured that you're going to have it. And it goes one step further. The same thing's going to happen in the city, because we've been working with the city police department on this, and they want the same software. So, and they voted Monday night to purchase their portion of it. So they're buying the modules for their police department, and it's a records management system software. Now, what we have bought is the modules for dispatch with our 911 center, We've bought the records management system for the Sheriff's Department and also for our emergency medical services as well. So there was a motion made to table it, but that was overridden, and they did vote to do it.
They did vote to do it.
Yeah, so we're moving forward with it, finalizing the contracts now. And as Mel Powers, our emergency management director, who's over the 911 center, he headed up this project along with Sheriff Pierce. As he said, it's a 12-month process to put all this in.
Wow.
Because this is, these are fairly big software packages. But the other thing we want to do, Wayne, is we want to get some of our existing records scanned in and populate this, because in order to have some of that history, we need to get that information in there. But the good thing is, too, now, that means that at different locations and dealing with different people, anything that Goldsboro PD does will also be in that data bank.
Right.
And so they will also have a heads up when they go to make a call.
You know, that's really great, because, and I wasn't aware, unless the officer who's going on that call knows specifically and has been there before that there's a problem, then they wouldn't know. They have no way of knowing.
They wouldn't. And unless the dispatcher had time to call that up, but typically they don't have that much time. This way the officer can be calling it up, or the dispatcher can make them aware of it. But you've got to have, a central database in order to tap that and make use of that automation. So the other thing it's going to do, like we said, it's going to help police officers and deputy sheriffs spend quite a bit of time, the public doesn't realize that, doing reports, because they have to go to court, they have to testify in these cases and things, so the reports have to be good, they have to be 100% accurate, because obviously a defense attorney is going to try to tear their case up. So they spend a lot of time with that, and the more help we can give them on the front end in that preparation of that, the more time we save that they're able to get back out on the street and do the job there. And we think it'll also cut down on inadvertent clerical errors. Yeah. Because when you're having to rewrite something 3 times, you may mess up the address, a phone number, something like that. Once you key it in one time, that's going to follow it.
It's done.
And that's going to, And so, again, we also purchased the jail module. So we've got, we've basically taken care of all of those. The other module we have all put in is something called NIFIRS. It's NFIRS. That's the National Fire Incident Reporting System. So with that, all of our county fire departments already have to fill out these reports, but this should help them as well.
Excellent.
Help automate that.
Oh, that's great.
It's a requirement, and Goldsboro fire departments having to do the same thing. It's required nationally to do it, but the question is, how much time does this eat up having to do it?
Yeah.
So the more we can automate all of this, the better for all of our people. It is a substantial amount of money, but we're already paying for maintenance fees and seat licenses and everything for the existing softwares that we have, even though it's 3 separate softwares. Yeah. So when you subtract that, because we won't have to pay that anymore, when you subtract that from the cost of the new stuff and the maintenance on it, it's about $130,000 more a year. But you're getting such an improvement in what its capabilities are, we felt it was well worth it.
Well, you are talking.
And the other thing, not to interrupt you, but the other thing is, we're convinced we can probably cut at least 1 more position. We did not show that in the savings yet. Okay. But the sheriff is confident, and I am too, that when he and I sit down on his budget in the spring, we'll be able to free up that. And so, we could probably get it down to somewhere around, this is going to end up costing us $80,000 to $85,000 a year.
If the call going into 911 center and then the officer who responds, he will have access to the possibility that this address has a history of firearms
Yeah.
weaponry.
Yeah.
And if they have that, then he's a little better prepared.
He's a
of
little
what to
better
expect.
prepared, and you know, he can get that through his MDT on the
Right.
computer, using the computer. He can also ask the dispatcher, call me up, what's on here.
And the expense you were talking about, it is expensive, understandably, because there's a
Right.
lot of, this is a very powerful system.
Right.
At the same time, but that was part of the sticking point with commissioners the other day.
Well, it was. You know, all of us are trying to save money, and not every improvement project that we bring to the board saves money. Sometimes it's going to cost us money, but what you're looking at, yeah, but what is the benefit? So to me, this is an investment in a far better software product. And that's what we're getting. We're getting that integration of all of that information, and it can save lives.
Exactly.
It can prevent problems. The other thing I guess I should point out is the smaller towns, you know, Town of Mount Olive, Pikeville, Fremont, those that have police departments, we're not charging them. Now, Goldsboro probably has over half the call volume coming into the 911 center.
Right.
So it was only fair that they pay a portion for theirs. These others, the call volume, really, we didn't feel justified charging them. And the other thing is, we know they're on extremely tight budgets, and we want the information, and we want their officers to be safe, so we felt like we'll provide that to them.
Excellent.
And so that's basically what we've done.
So what's our timeline on this?
Well, Mel was in my office today. We're signing off on everything. The county attorney is going to review the contract, make sure everything's fine. We'll sign that. Roughly 12 months, about this time next year, they've committed it'll be up and running.
Wow.
So that's what we're looking at.
that's-
In the meantime, of course, and we'll do some parallel stuff, I'm sure, initially, because you want to make sure you debug any problems you got. But I think they said we have over 1,700 jurisdictions in the country using this. So this is a well-tested software product. They're a very reputable company. Our people have not only looked at their literature, they've gone to at least 2 demonstrations of the product.
Wow.
So we're very comfortable it's going to do what we need it to do.
It's a proven product.
It's a proven
Excellent.
product.
Excellent. It's going to do a lot of good for us here in Wayne County.
It really is. And we're pleased that the Goldsboro City Council voted Monday night to do their part. So I think it's a big step forward. I think Chief West was quoted as saying it'll move his department forward about 10 years.
Wow.
So that's what we're looking for.
Wow.
And I think it does the same thing over at the Sheriff's Department. It really gives us a powerful tool. And as you know, we'll soon be opening a second jail. So it'll be nice to have this jail records management system available for both facilities that we operate.
You know, that jail is really looking good. It's quite an impressive facility. The signage is up.
Yeah, Daniels & Daniels has done an excellent job for us. We're very pleased. We are literally just doing some punch list items now. They have gone through, with the jail, you have to go through inspections by the state, not just the local inspectors here. And they gave them a punch list. We had a punch list. And they're finishing those items up, and I would say sometime in the next 2 weeks, right after the first of the year, they'll be turning that over to us.
Wow,
and again, they've done a very good job, very good company. They've worked very well with our people, and we're very pleased.
Excellent. Mr. George Wood is the county manager for the County of Wayne, and Merry Christmas to you, and I hope you have a nice one.
Merry Christmas to you, Wayne.
Merry Christmas there, George.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
so much.